What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, well, yesterday we saw Indiana get got at home. Shout out to the Dallas Wings for a really good game for 3 out of the 4 quarters. Anyway, we also saw the New York Liberty taking care of business on the road. We saw some accusations and stuff being reported about the Seattle Storm. What in the world is going on in Seattle? We'll talk about that as well. And the Minnesota Lynx have clinched a playoff spot. Yeah, they're that good. Quita in the Morning starts now.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Ready, set, go.
Y'all, get ready. And a huge shout out to huge shout out to Dion for the super chat. It was a whole bunch of donuts. I appreciate you, Dion. Thank you so much for that super chat. Really appreciate your support of the channel. Guys, yeah, we got some stuff to talk about, okay? We got some stuff to talk about. Yesterday we saw two fantastic games, in my opinion, I would say. One involved a nail biter, and the other one was a little bit more of a sure thing, kind of. Though with LA, you never know, because LA is it just that good? Anyway, we're going to talk first about the Indiana versus Dallas game, and then we're going to talk about the LA Sparks versus the New York Liberty. And guys, let's go through this, okay? I titled the title of this stream for a reason. Yeah, we're about to get into it, okay? But first, let's talk about how great of a game yesterday truly was, okay? Co-MVPs of the game was for sure Lee Uru and Maddie Seegers, who I thought both played absolutely spectacular in yesterday's game. But let's just talk through real quick. Let's talk through why we got the result that we got. Number one, this game was in Indiana, so at home for Indiana. All right. Number two, Dallas is not that good, but Dallas is one of those teams that can surprise you. Record-wise, they're terrible. They're not very good. However, they can surprise you and they can make some stuff happen, okay? So it's one of those things where when you're playing a team like Dallas, when you're playing a team like Connecticut, you can't just assume it's going to be a victory. Right? You can't just assume that, okay, we're going to show up and we're going to take this team out and it's going to be over. No, you actually have to play, and you actually have to put out schemes, both in terms of lineup and in terms of play style, in terms of defense, all that good stuff. You have to make some stuff happen to actually enable the win. And for the Dallas Wings, they came out the get-go fired up and ready to go. And when I'm talking about fired up and ready to go, I'm talking about this team going to two people who, in my opinion, are unsung heroes of sorts for Dallas. Now, of course, when you're talking about Dallas, of course, the main focus is on Paige Bueckers. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay? And it would be on Arike Ogunbowale, but Arike was out. She was injured yesterday, so she didn't play. So all the attention is on Paige. What is Paige going to do? Let's focus on Paige. Let's shut down Paige. Okay? Yesterday, this wasn't the Paige show. This was not the Paige show. This was all about Maddie Segrist, who I continue to be high on because she is a difference maker. If she's healthy, if she can stay healthy. And it was about Lee Uru. Yesterday, basically all throughout the game, besides the fourth quarter, we saw Maddie Segrist and Lee Uru step up and step out. Dog. What we talking about? Maddie Siegrist, 22 points for her. 9 of 13 from the field. Leah Rue came off the bench, gave Dallas 20 points. 20 points off the bench for Leah Rue. Here's the thing about Leah Rue. Leah Rue has fantastic footwork. Fantastic. She has range for days. She's one of those really tall post players that can shoot threes, right? The problem with Leah Rue, and the reason why she has bounced around from the Chicago Sky to the Seattle Storm, right? The reason why she has bounced around so many times, the LA Sparks, is because even though she has the fundamentals, I think teams were worried that she didn't have like the grit, I think. Because when you're just watching her footwork and watching her play, like she has skills. It's just, does Lee have the firepower and aggression to be dominant on offense? And can she actually play defense? Yeah, you didn't know? Yeah, she was on the Chicago Sky in 2022. She was on the Chicago Sky. Yeah. That was the Chicago Sky was the first team that Leah Rue ever played for in the WNBA. Right? We all know how good of footwork that Lee has, right? She has good footwork. She's tall. She can shoot threes. But does she have that fire in her? Like, does she have that aggressiveness in her that could lead her to being a star in the WNBA offensively? And also, can she just play defense? Can she play defense? Like that, I think that's the huge issue with Camilla. Or not Camilla. Somebody just commented about Camilla. so Camilla's in my head. That's the big issue with Leah Rue. And that's one of the reasons why she has, in my opinion, been on so many teams. Is because teams see the benefit in the long term, but they need it in the short term, which is why she's kind of bounced around. In my opinion. That's my opinion. Based off of watching Leah Rue for 4 years now in the WNBA. But yesterday, Leah Rue was on fire. She was on fire, and no one could really stop her. And I just kind of love to see it. I think it's really fun to see. So Leah Rue was fantastic, right? Maddie Siegrist was fantastic. And the Indiana Fever had really good second quarters, had a really good second quarter, had a really good fourth quarter. But I want to fast forward all the way towards the end of the game. We ended up seeing the Indiana Fever make one of the best comebacks that I've seen in a hot second, and the team lose. Okay, so let's kind of walk through this. So first of all, we come into the quarter, the fourth quarter, with the Dallas Wings on top, 67-55. Okay, 67-55. Okay, great. Dallas has the lead. I remember I was walking my dogs while watching on my phone, and my mom texted me and she was like, "Oh, I think Dallas has it." I know she said, "Are you watching the game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think Dallas has it." And right when I sent her that message, here comes the Indiana Fever. What we proceeded to see, well, it was when Lexi Hull comes in for Chloe Bibby, and we end up seeing Damaris Johnson ends up coming out of the game as well. And we end up seeing a massive, basically 17-3 run by the Indiana Fever. The Dallas Wings kind of forgot how to play basketball. They forgot the offensive sets that allowed them to get the lead to begin with. And then the Indiana Fever did what they did best. Get a ball to Kelsey for threes, right? Sit down on defense. Actually sit down on defense, right? And make the smart plays at the right time, right? It was Kelsey Mitchell. It was Sophie Cunningham, right? It was Natasha Howard. And systematically, step by step by step by step, we saw stop after stop on defense. Dallas basically forgot how to play basketball for the last, 6 minutes or so? And I was like, OMG, I cannot believe this Dallas Wings team is about to lose. How in the world did they just collapse like this? That's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering. Right? And then, with seconds left to go, we're going to backtrack in a sec. We're going to backtrack, but I'm just trying to get to the end, and then we're going to move back. With seconds left to go, the Indiana Fever get a stop, right? Paige Beckers misses a shot. Natasha Howard gets the rebound. It's about 11 seconds left to go. The Indiana Fever have a reset timeout left. But in this moment, you got the momentum off of a rebound. I actually agree with Stephanie White in not calling that timeout. There's a lot of people who are actually ragging on her and saying she should have called the reset timeout after that rebound. Here's the thing. I felt that Indiana had the momentum. And when you call a reset timeout, you allow the defense to really set up. I was like, oh, smart, take it. The problem was Indiana didn't know what to do with the basketball. And by the time Stephanie White calls the reset timeout, which, by the way, I think that was the first time I've ever seen a reset timeout called when the team has the ball on their side. I think that was the first time I've ever seen that. Usually when the reset timeout is called, you're in the back court. They were in the front court. They had the basketball in their half. And she called a reset timeout. I was like, what? You can call a reset timeout in the half court? I didn't know that. I didn't know. That was the first time I've ever seen that. Yeah, as Mitchell says, you should add clips of what you're talking about. One day I will be able to. At this point, because I do this, I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth because I do everything on the show myself. I don't have the bandwidth to actually have clips at this moment. I'm hoping, because also you all know I actually have a job, a 9 to 5 and whatnot. And so at some point, maybe I hope to either have help or actually be able to do it myself. But at this point, I can't have clips, unfortunately. So sorry about that, but it is what it is. So I'm trying my best to tell the story as best as I possibly could without clips. But yeah, I want to have clips. Hopefully I eventually will have clips. At this moment, I just can't do it. But we end up seeing the Indiana Fever basically have all the momentum, because at this point they were on a 17, 18 point run or something. They had their foot on the gas. All the momentum in the world. You're at home. So with 11 seconds left, sure, let your team handle it. But the problem was Indiana didn't know what to do with the ball. And then next thing we knew, Kelsey Mitchell had the basketball. Her back was kind of to the basket. It was like she was in no man's land. They were about to waste out the rest of the clock. And then finally, that's when Stephanie White called the reset timeout. They reset. And we saw the man behind the basketball to Kelsey Mitchell, JJ Quinterly. Can we give a shout out to JJ Quinterly? JJ Quinterly with the fantastic defense. Kelsey Mitchell misses the shot badly, and the Dallas Wings pull out a 1-point victory. They utterly collapsed in the fourth quarter, and it still was enough to get the job done. Okay? I absolutely love to see it. What? And I end up tweeting about the collapse of the Dallas Wings, and they wind up winning. I was like, oh, okay, go ahead, y'all. Now, so that's overall what happened. Let's break down why the Dallas Wings won and why the Indiana Fever lost. So that's a huge overview of the game. Quick overview. Okay, now let's get into exactly why the Indiana Fever lost. The Indiana Fever lost because they couldn't take care of the basketball. That's why the team lost. Now, should they have been better at taking care of the basketball? Yes. Does this team not really have a point guard? Yes. Did Odyssey Sims just join the team yesterday? Yes. Did Odyssey Sims look good yesterday in the minutes that she played? Overall, no. Yeah, she got 2 assists, but besides that, Odyssey Sims didn't look great, in my opinion. Right? I don't think she helped. Did I think she was going to do a little bit better than what she did? Yeah, but nah, she hasn't been on the team in a while, and I don't know. She didn't look good. She didn't look good yesterday. Did Chloe Bibby play well in the minutes that she had? Yes. However, I saw a lot of people that were saying, oh, Chloe Bibby should have had more minutes. And should she have had a little bit more minutes? Sure, I guess, because she had 11 points in 12 minutes. Sure, I give you that. However, guys, what you have to look for when you're talking about who should be in the game, it's not just about, oh, this person just scored 12 points. Okay, well, what did the team overall do when they were in? Okay? And the best lineup by far yesterday. Now, again, I've seen people all upset and whatnot. Here's the thing. The best lineup yesterday was the lineup that finished the game. Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard. That was the right lineup. That was the lineup that was most effective yesterday. That was the best defensive lineup. And that was the best offensive lineup. It was. If you don't believe me, let me tell you some stats. Let me talk about stats for you. Let me talk about stats. Okay? Let me talk about stats. That lineup that closed out the game scored 50 points while they were on the court together. 50 points. And Dallas, when that 5 was on for the Indiana Fever, Dallas only scored 37 points when that lineup was in. That lineup played about 12 minutes in yesterday's game. A combined 12 minutes of those 5 players on the court at the same time. And in 12 minutes, they scored 50 points. Dallas only scored 37. It's the best lineup. It was the best lineup, guys. Now, I get it. Chloe Bibby can shoot. But she doesn't give much on defense. And this was the better lineup. It just was. It just was. Also, guys, I want to talk about turnovers for the Indiana Fever. Now, while you may hear, oh, the refs cost them the game. It was the refs' fault. It was the refs, and we don't get into the refs. While you may hear that, oh, okay. Was it the refs' fault that caused you all to turn over the ball 18 times? Was it the refs' fault that allowed Dallas to score 27 points off of your turnovers? Was that the refs' fault too? Here's the thing. Indiana played a fantastic final 6-ish minutes of the game. They did. But besides that, they were turning over the basketball. And a good amount of those turnovers were live ball turnovers. And Dallas was able to capitalize. Are the refs bad? Sure. They are. I completely agree. But at the same time, you, as the team, as I have been saying all year, so don't be like, oh, Quita's just saying this because she hates the Indiana Fever. I've been saying this all year. Whether it was the Chicago Sky complaining about not getting calls or any other team. Here's the thing. The refs suck. Everyone knows that. They're inconsistent. They call phantom calls. Sometimes they fail to call obvious calls. Even sometimes when it's a challenge, they still get the wrong call. We get that. Everybody sees that. They're terrible. But they're equally terrible. The Fever benefit from bad ref calls the same way as other teams. It can't always be the refs' fault because they're equally terrible. Sometimes this game it may benefit you, next game it may not. The first quarter it may benefit you, second quarter it may not. But you, individually and collectively as a team, have the ability to neutralize the refs by the way that you play. If you play bad for the majority of the game, turn over the ball left and right, and you decide to come alive with 6 minutes left to go, you then can't blame the loss on that one call that was challenged and upheld, which terrible. Maisha Hines out. I don't know. It was Leah Rue. She absolutely did trap Aaliyah Boston. Now, no, that should not have been a foul on Aaliyah Boston. The refs checked it. The refs kept a terrible call. Yeah. That didn't cost you the game. It didn't. Because you all don't remember earlier in the game when Aaliyah Boston did the same exact thing to Maisha Hines Allen? Y'all don't remember that? Y'all don't remember that? I'm just saying. Refs suck, we know. But at the same time, that can't always be the reason as to why you lose. It can't. Okay? I want to go to Postgame and what Stephanie White had to say about the referees and how they were calling stuff. Okay?
Ahead, you're attacking, you're going.
The physicality, we even talked about it pregame. How disruptive maybe was that to both maybe the flow and what both teams were trying to do and find a rhythm out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a physical game, you know. I think there's a double standard in how people get their calls. I think Kelsey Mitchell, number one, is held or chucked on every freaking possession and never gets a call off the ball. I think Aaliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. And there's a double standard there, certainly. But again, if it's going to be physical and you're gonna allow us to be physical, then allow both teams to be physical. If you're going to call the holds and you're going to call the chucks, and you're going to then call it both ways. So I mean, I think that we've been pretty consistent in what we're asking for, and I didn't feel like it was consistent, especially for those two. I think you could call a foul every time down the floor for those two.
So yeah, that's what Coach Stephanie White had to say. And when I heard this, and I'm gonna get off this. This is a Quita rant, a little bit of a Quita rant. I'm gonna just say this. Aaliyah Boston has the worst. She has the worst whistle in the league. Really, Aaliyah Boston. Really, I gotta say because watching the games, and this is not me just talking. I actually watched the games. Watching the games and seeing Aaliyah Boston go against all other post players in the WNBA. I got to tell you, Aaliyah Boston gets away with offensive calls all the time. What are we talking about? Like what? Can we? And I understand. Stephanie White, her team just lost. She has to talk about stuff. And of course she's going to blame the refs because she lost, because that's what all coaches do. Now, this is not, again, I'm talking about the Indiana Fever, but literally, basically all coaches do this. When you lose the game, you always got to talk about the physicality. You always got to talk about the referees and how this person don't get a call, how this person don't get a call, how this person don't get a call. Everybody don't get a call. Everybody. This is the thing that happens when your team loses. But I got to say that Aaliyah Boston has the worst whistle, seriously, please, watch a real game. Watch a full game. And you can count how many fouls Aaliyah Boston gets away with all the time. Aaliyah Boston, how Leah Rue, kind of got her arm and wouldn't let it go. Aaliyah Boston does the same thing and gets away with it. Aaliyah Boston has pointy limbs and gets players, Aaliyah Boston gets away with a lot of offensive fouls every single game. She does. Like, come and to say that she is the worst, basically gets the worst whistle. Are you serious? Aaliyah Boston? Like, come on. And I think Aaliyah Boston's great. Aaliyah Boston's a fantastic player. But at the same time, you got to admit, she's not always, hyperbolic. She is constantly fouling on the offensive end. Constantly. Okay? Calix says, Quita, you are objectively wrong. How long have you... I lost how long have you been watching Fever games? The whistle improvement is a recent thing. Do you know how many times Aaliyah Boston gets hit with phantom calls? Well, Calix, I've been watching the Indiana Fever for decades. When Aaliyah Boston first went to the Indiana Fever, I started watching them a whole lot more because she was the number one pick. Was I watching them before? Yeah, sure, I was. but I watched them a whole lot more. And then last year, I watched almost every game of the Indiana Fever. Same thing for this year. So yeah, I watch. I watch. Sometimes do Aaliyah Boston get called for phantom calls? Yes. But the number of times she get called for phantom calls is nowhere near the amount of stuff that she gets away with. Now, again, am I complaining and saying, oh, see, the refs are terrible and blah, blah, blah? Here's the thing. The refs suck. We all know this. My point in when I'm talking about this, my point is that at some point, these coaches, these players have to stop complaining about the refs, have to stop making the refs the scapegoat for everything. Yes, I'm specifically talking about Aaliyah Boston, and I'm specifically talking about Stephanie White. But it's not just them. This is like a microcosm of like a larger issue of everybody blaming the refs when they lose. I can guarantee you guys that if Dallas lost, they would have been talking about the physicality, talking about the refs, and talking about how bad the refs were. And talking about how this player don't get a call, this player don't get a call, this player don't get a call. It's a thing. So, yes, I'm specifically giving the example of the Indiana Fever. However, everybody does this. Basically, everybody does this. So, yeah. That's my point. My point is, can you just win without the refs? That's my point. And can we just stop talking about the refs? Can we stop at the post game, always talking about physicality, always talking about who don't get a call? Here's the thing. Chicago's got to do it too. Tyler Marsh is always talking about Camila Cardoso and how she doesn't get calls. And he's right. Camila Cardoso's fouled. She's fouled a lot. Camila Cardoso's fouled a lot, and the refs don't call it. The refs are not going to call it. It is what it is. At some point, you got to get over it. At some point. Because we all know the refs suck. And no, it's not a conspiracy against your team. Because every team thinks this. Every team thinks this. Every team thinks, the officials are out to get me. They out to get me. They don't like my team. We don't never get calls. Here's the thing. You lost. Plain and simple. You lost. And no, you can't blame it on the refs. Because you turn over that basketball so many times and they scored 27 points off your turnovers. Okay? Right? You can't just say, oh yeah, the refs suck. Yeah, the refs do suck. We all know this. This isn't new. This isn't new news. We all know. We all know. It is. Shamika, it is. It is. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the Chicago Sky will always have a wild disparity when it comes to calls, when it comes to free throw attempts. They just will. At some point, you got to get over it and say the refs are going to be the refs, but we going to win on our own. We going to win regardless of what the refs do. And you can do that. You can do that. So, I'm just saying. I am just saying. Okay? Okay. But I will just say this real quick to finish out this game. I truly love the lineup of Maisha Hines-Allen, of Lee Yarou, of Maddie Segrist, of Paige Beckers, and of JJ Quinterly. I think this is a fantastic lineup. Chris Koklanis, I think you need to continue to figure out ways to keep this lineup on the court because this lineup is a special lineup. I think they can make a lot of stuff happen. I like this lineup a lot. Paige Beckers, is Paige Beckers a point guard? Yes, but she's a very effective shooting guard. And having JJ Quinterly just sort of kind of like run the show. And guys, it's just amazing how like truly how fantastic JJ Quinterly is. JJ Quinterly, if y'all don't know, she was like a defensive specialist in college. Like she's fantastic, right? She not only was she played for West Virginia, and not only was she a really good offensive scorer in college, she was a fantastic defender. And I love her playing with this Dallas Wings team. I think she is fun. I think she is so fun. W. Bazil says, how did Grace Berger get the start? I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you this: I love that JJ Quinterly played a lot of minutes in yesterday's game. I love it. Yeah, she's super fast and she's fantastic on defense. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. All right. Okay. So, let's move on. All right. And again, this is not me attacking. I was not, to clarify, so people don't be like, oh, see, you're attacking this player, you're attacking this coach. And no. To clarify, Aaliyah Boston's fantastic. She's a great player. But she gets away with a lot of stuff. Now, are there bad calls called on her? Absolutely. Was that defensive foul a real foul against Leah Root? In my opinion, it wasn't. In my opinion, that should have been a no call or if anything, an offensive foul on Leah Root. It was a bad call. And the ref it was challenged, still upheld a bad call. So I give you that completely. And are there sometimes that phantom calls get called on her? Yes. But does she get away with way more than what she gets called for? Yes. And just watch her on offense and watch her elbows, watch how she pins people, like clamps people down with her arms. Like, I'm just saying. Like, so this is not against her, but she does foul a lot. She does, and she gets away with it. And shouldn't she? If I was her, I would be doing the same thing. If the ref's gonna allow me to do it, I'm gonna do it. Because it's gonna allow me to win. So it's not personal against her. I don't dislike her. I think she's great, but at the same time, she does get away with a lot. And I think the statement that she's the worst, I forgot the exact statement, but like she gets the worst whistle. I think that's wild. Wild. And the whole complaining after every single loss that every coach does, it's overrated, and I'm annoyed by it. Okay. That took way longer than I wanted it to. But anyway. Let's move on. Let's move on to the other game that happened yesterday. And this involved the New York concrete jungle where dreams are made of. They were in LA yesterday. And y'all, I gotta say, guys, one, I continue to be kind of frustrated with the West Coast games because of the times that these games are on. So like as Indiana and Dallas were going off, this game was coming on. And I gotta say, as someone who has to get up very, very early in the morning, I don't like it. Gotta say, I don't like it. But suffice to say, I still gotta be awake and be aware and watch and whatnot. So anyway, what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday is an example of just overall how good the I'm still in Indiana. How good the New York Liberty are while severely injured. Yesterday, guys, I want to count out the people who was injured yesterday. I want to count out the people, guys. We all know Stewie's out. She's going to be out for a couple more weeks, likely. Right? Kennedy Burke was still out. Well, she didn't. Well, no, actually, she was available. She just didn't play. Satu Sabli was hurt. Niara Sabally, Satu's sister, was hurt. She's out with a right knee injury. We had Isabel Harrison out as well. She's on concussion protocol. So with Brianna, with Niara, with Izzy, it didn't really matter. With those players out, it didn't really matter for the New York Liberty. And the reason why is because of the player that they signed a couple of weeks ago. And her name is Emma Miesemann. Emma Miesemann is, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. In my opinion, she was the best player in the world that did not play in the WNBA. By far the best player in Europe. By far the best player outside of America. Hands down, in my opinion. Okay? And this team, it took her a little bit of time to kind of ramp up. But yesterday she was fantastic. 24 points for Emma Miesemann, 9 rebounds. She was absolutely doing her thing. 4 assists. And can y'all believe it? Emma Miesemann made it the entire game with no fouls. That's wild. It's wild. Telling y'all, like, Emma Miesemann, she was fantastic. And now she's starting to ramp up with this team. Okay? We also saw Jonquel Jones do her thing yesterday. And we all know when Jonquel Jones gets a double-double, this New York Liberty team is likely winning. Yesterday, Jonquel Jones had 21 points, 11 rebounds. She did her thing. And when she does that, most likely, the Indiana Fever Indiana Fever. Why I keep saying Indiana Fever? Oh, man, they're on my brain. The New York Liberty wins. And then we got to talk about the tall guard known as Leonie Fibish. Y'all, Leonie Fibish is super tall. How tall is she? She's 6'4". 6'4". And Leonie Fibish is basically a shooting guard / small forward. And yesterday, Leia was fantastic. 20 points for her. So, yeah. You got Emma Miesemann with 24. You got Jonquel with 21. You got Leonie with 20. I mean, you're going to win. What are we talking about? Right? And, yeah. Well, dog, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Yeah, you didn't even need Sabrina to have a big game. She didn't. Right? She did do a really good job passing the basketball. Six assists for Sabrina Ionescu, 14 points for her. We saw Natasha Cloud with 11 points for her. Like, overall, the team was looking good. And overall, this team, they just played like a well-oiled machine. They shot the ball pretty well. Not pretty well, extremely well. Shot about 55% from the field. Like, it's hard to beat that. And I gotta say, the LA Sparks tried to beat that. They tried their best to beat that. And I gotta give a huge shout out to them. A huge shout out to the LA Sparks, because I thought LA played well. I thought LA played well. And truly, if they was playing anybody else but the New York Liberty, they would have won. They would have won. If they were playing anybody else. But you weren't playing anybody else. You were playing New York. And New York with Emma Miesemann and Jonquel Jones in the starting lineup and Leonie Fibish, that's like tall on tall on tall on tall. Yeah. Massive size is terrible. But I gotta give a shout out to the LA Sparks. I thought the LA Sparks played as well as they possibly could. They absolutely fought. They fought so hard in yesterday's game. Like, it's just you're going against some fantastic players. Like, and it's a little bit too much. But De'Erica held her own, right? Same with Azare. Same with Rakia Jackson. Kelsey Plum did as best as she possibly could have, right? Ray Burrell continues to show up off the bench, right? Like, they played as well as they could. They played great. It just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough for a chance to take down the New York Liberty. Like, it just wasn't. So the Liberty scored their most points of the entire season with 105 points against the LA Sparks, who scored 97. So, like, again, shout out to the LA Sparks. Like, you should not have your head held down for losing to the New York Liberty. Like, no way. Yeah, they're tall. Yep, 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", 6'4". Yeah, they're just tall. They're tall. And they're big. Not tall and like big. They're tall and lanky. That's what they are. And it's hard to go against that. It's hard. But LA did their best. And again, scoring 97 points against any team, you're most likely winning. So shout out to the LA Sparks. Like, yeah, shout out to the LA Sparks. I mean, yes, they got to get better on defense, but again, remember, you're literally playing against the New York Liberty with Emma Meesseman and Jonquel Jones healthy. So, like, I don't have much critiques about this game for the LA Sparks. LA played well. They did. They played well. They really tried their best. They really did. So I'm not, no criticisms for LA, because not only did they hold their own, they shot the ball pretty well. And guys, they limited turnovers. Now, did New York score 18 points off of their turnovers? Yeah. And yes, they were live ball turnovers, and that was a thing. But we only see 9 turnovers by the LA Sparks in this game. Like, that's good. Right? Yeah, I thought LA played well. Of course, defensively got to get better, but I tell you this, it's actually even more of an indictment defensively on the New York Liberty for LA to score 97 points. To me, that's a bigger thing. But anyway. Okay, that's that. I want to move on to talk about the Seattle Storm, guys. I saw this percolating on social yesterday, and I was like, okay, what's going on? So I looked into it a little bit, and I want to just tell y'all what we know right now. I want to talk about what we know right now, and wait until we get more information. Okay, so Seattle has had a pretty interesting year and some change, right? We saw them come together with a powerhouse assortment of players, right? Remember last year when we saw Jewel Lloyd, who was already on the team? We saw Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins join her. And it was some thoughts about, okay, this is going to be really, really good. Turned out not to be that great. Turned out that Jewel Lloyd had some things that she asserted. Jewel Lloyd got traded away. Now she's in Las Vegas. And it's like, okay, what does Seattle do next? Well, Seattle brings back Alicia Clark. They get Erica Wheeler. They get Dominique Malunga, huge pickup in the draft, right? And it's a thought of, okay, well, maybe this is gonna be something special. And we've seen some highs for Seattle, but we've also seen some lows, including yesterday, when we heard from Kareem Copeland, reporter Kareem Copeland, who he's from the Washington Post, I believe, and he specifically asked Alicia Clark if she's had conversations with Seattle before the trade. And she said that she requested to get moved. Alicia Clark, the 38-year-old vet, the player who's been on Seattle and has been very successful on Seattle before, she requested to leave. And you got to admit, like, Alicia Clark has not had a good season. She really has not. And we also heard from Christian, from, where is he from? Off the record, W. We heard from him that said, according to multiple sources, there were verbal altercations in the locker room with teammates that also led to the trade request. And so, interesting. Now, I do expect Christian did say there's a story to come. He posted the story already. Oh, I didn't realize he posted it. Well, anyway, yeah, it's not a great look. It's not a great look for the Seattle Storm. We don't know a ton more information, right? We don't know. But he did end up saying, here, let me actually show his Substack to give him a huge amount of credit for this, for the reporting. Because guys, on this channel we really do appreciate reporters doing their job and letting us know what's going on. All right, so again, off the record, WNBA, that's the place you should go to read this. I'm literally just going to read one snippet of it, and then truly recommend you all to actually read it for yourselves. Okay, here we go. Says a contributing factor in talking about Alicia Clark's trade request, says a contributing factor that also led to the trade request were verbal altercations in the Storm locker room with teammates over poor play. Multiple league sources can confirm to off the record. So, yeah, stuff is happening with the Seattle Storm. I'm waiting for even more reporting to come out on, like, specifically who and specifically what was talked about, specifically why Seattle still at this point has not started Dominique Malunga and like what in the world is going on with this team. Why a team with so much talent and promise is not doing very well, right? I'm waiting for more of that, and once we get more of that, I will let you all know. But again, I just want to shout out both Christian Braswell, I think that's how you say his last name, and Kareem Copeland for the reporting on what in the world is happening in Seattle. All right. Also, guys, I do want to talk about the fact that where is it? There we go. That the that the Minnesota Lynx have clinched a playoff berth. Now, guys, the playoffs is not for several weeks away, but they have clinched a playoff berth. I mean, it's duh, right? They're the best team in the league. I think they're probably going to stay at number one as we head into the playoffs. The New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx are the top two teams, or they're the best teams in the WNBA, right? But the Minnesota Lynx continue to hold that number one spot. The reason why is because they are just the ultimate team. When you talk about the Minnesota Lynx, right? When you talk about them, you first have to start with Nafisa Collier, of course, right? My MVP. If I voted right now, if I had a vote, and I voted right now, I'd vote for Nafisa Collier for MVP, right? Best player or the best player on the best team in the WNBA is Nafisa Collier. I think she's fantastic. But when it comes to the Minnesota Lynx, they've been playing without Nafisa for the last couple of games. How have they been doing it? Well, it's Kayla freaking McBride, who is a three-point assassin, who can just play up in any situation, right? You got the newcomer, DJ Carrington, who has infused this team with both defense and offense coming off the bench, right? You got Courtney Williams, one half of the stud buds, who is sort of like the general of sorts on the court, who can both pass the ball really well and also be a mid-range assassin, right? You got Jessica Shepard. You got Natisha Heidemann coming off the bench, right? You got Bridget Carlton, BC, who is just sort of like a Swiss Army knife of sorts. And you have one of the best defenders in the WNBA that does not get the credit for it. You have Alana Smith. You have Alana Smith, who is spectacular. Spectacular. Want to talk about defensive stopper? Yeah, Alana Smith. Hands down. And she can make a whole bunch of stuff happen offensively. So it's like, it's crazy how the Minnesota Lynx have two of the best defenders in the league on the same team. It's wild. Wild. So yes, the Minnesota Lynx have clinched. The reason why is because they are an excellent team with excellent players who play together with an excellent coach in Short Reeve. So shout out to them. Shout out to them. That's it. That's it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe as well. Thank you for your support of the channel. Barbara says, yes, McBride is amazing. Ooh, Carmela has a fantastic question. Says, chat, who has the top 3 benches in the W right now? Ooh. It's a fantastic question. I gotta say, with the trade that allowed DJ Carrington to go to the Minnesota Lynx, Minnesota's in that category of best benches. Atlanta for sure. For sure, Atlanta. I've talked about Atlanta before. For sure, Atlanta. If fully healthy, New York. If fully healthy, New York. But right now, no. But fully healthy, yeah, New York. I'm putting New York in there. All right. Okay. Y'all have a good one. I see y'all in the next one. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And again, guys, I talk about women's basketball because I love it. I don't have an agenda against a team, a player. Hey, Quita love everybody, right? How they say, in the club, we all fam. Anyway, y'all have a good one. And I will see y'all in the next one. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Are you ready?
Ready, set, go.